Welcome back to the Mind, Body, Spirit podcast. I am your host, Coach Jordan, and I'm here to help you master the mindset behind your nutrition and your fitness. That way you can lose body fat sustainably. Hope you enjoy the show. Today's topic is it possible, or how can we, or when is it possible to do both, lose body fat and build muscle at the same time? This is something that I get asked very frequently. Someone, wants to build more muscle, wants to look more toned, also wants to lose body fat or feels like they have extra weight to lose. Normally, it is easiest to focus on one and then the other. However, it doesn't mean that you're not going to get some benefit from one or the other while doing the others. There is also three circumstances or situations when it is ideal to tackle both at the same time, or it'll just happen automatically, depending on who you are. So the first circumstance is if you are brand new to exercise, or especially strength training in general, and you do not have a history of being super fit in the past either. So just something completely new to your body, and completely foreign for your body. Makes what you're doing with your workouts, especially if you're doing strength training, very, very, very effective, because your body has to adapt quite a bit. It's something that's brand new to it. As a result, you could see yourself putting on muscle a lot faster for the first 4 to 6 months of your journey in that situation. And this is something that a lot of bodybuilders and people who go to the gym would call newbie gains. It's just like a phenomenon that happens to people who are brand new to the gym. They start seeing quick progress in the first 6 months. Usually the first 3 months, and then you have good programming. You can even take that on to the first 6 months. After that, it kind of levels out and becomes more normal. And that's when people start to complain about maybe hitting plateaus, because they think or expect that they're going to get newbie gains for the rest of their life. In reality, it's like, no, things just get a little more normal. You're having fast gains in the beginning because it was so new and so fast, and you had good programming. Ideally, hopefully, you can also get away with bad programming too, because in that situation, because something is always better than nothing. And then you can even, at this situation, a lot of times undereat and still get away with it and build muscle, because again, it's just such a new stimulus for you. However, to get the best benefit, if you're brand new in that situation, you want to do both, build muscle and body recomp and lose some body fat. It would be to dial in your nutrition, make sure you're eating enough protein in recovery, and then training in a good way, in an intelligent way, not where you're just not chasing the soreness, not chasing super intense workouts necessarily, but having a structured, phased program, which typically most people who are new to the gym don't have, right? I definitely did not have that when I started in my fitness journey, and I had quick gains, but even despite maybe not doing all the right things. So that is the first time where it is a lot easier to be able to do both at the same time, to build muscle and lose body fat. So if someone tells you that it's impossible to lose body fat and build muscle at the same time, they're wrong, because there is a situation, right, the newbie gains, where it is very, very possible and very easy to happen, actually. The second situation, I shouldn't say they're wrong. They're just not thinking of every situation and every person, right? The second situation is if you do have a history of exercise and working out and being fit in the past, and then you took some time off for whatever reason, life circumstances, or maybe an injury, and you lost a lot of muscle mass and maybe gained a little bit of body fat as a result. When you are ready to dial back in the nutrition and ready to dial back in the training to get the results that you maybe used to have in the past, you will see the phenomenon called muscle memory kind of kick in, and you can benefit from that. It's way easier to regain muscle that you've previously owned in the past, even if you've lost it from just inactivity or lifestyle changes and priority changes. So you can get back to that and get really, really fit really, really quick. A good example of this would be like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He stopped working out for a very long time after becoming the Governator and all that. And he got a kind of a very flabby physique. Definitely did not look like Mr. Universe. In the last couple of years, I think since the beginning of COVID, he's been working out a lot more. he went through a little, a small, like, I think I don't even want to say a vegan phase, because he said he was 70% plant-based, whatever that means. So he's eating lots of meat now. And the thing is, he's strength training very consistently. He's been doing it for a couple of years now. And you can see that his muscle mass is coming back actually pretty quickly, especially for someone his age. And this is just muscle memory for him. And he has, when it comes to genetics, probably one of the like in the top percent of muscle building genetics in the world, right? In the history of humans. So for him, of course, you can see muscle memory happening, and he had one of the best physiques of all time. You can see muscle memory really benefiting for him really, really quickly. So if you've ever been really, really fit in the past, or maybe you're really, really fit now and you're worried that in the future, what will happen if you lose all your gains? The answer is don't worry too much, because as long as you know how to in the future get them back, go back to strength training, go back to dialing in your nutrition, you can get them back quickly. You can get back that the muscle memory will come back, and you will see this. You can build muscle and lose body fat in that situation at the same time. Very similar to newbie gains, but maybe not as powerful. And I think that would depend on how much you're able to dial in nutrition and how much you're able to dial in your training, which is where the expertise and the experience comes into play when coming back in from, if you're someone who used to have muscle and lost it. If you're in the newbie gains situation, you can almost get away with not having that experience, not having the greatest workouts, and not having the greatest nutrition, and still experience that. With muscle memory, it takes a little bit more of dialing things in, but you can experience the same type of gains and benefits as the newbie gains situation. So those are the two prime situations where you can build muscle, lose body fat at the same time. And the other time where you can build muscle and lose body fat, which is probably more applicable for everyone in this group, there we go, for everyone in this group, is when you are living at maintenance. So what does that mean, and how do we find our maintenance? So maintenance is the amount of calories you can eat, hopefully a healthy amount of calories. You're not, on an unmetabolically adapted metabolism. So, if your current maintenance is 1,200 calories, this is not, you're probably not going to see crazy muscle building or fat loss in that situation. But if your maintenance calories is something like 1,800 or 2,000, and you want to live there for a little bit, you can see more muscle building and fat loss situation. And maybe for, if you're a little bit taller, or, like myself, maybe the maintenance calories might be higher, right? Like 2,500 or maybe even 3,000. And I know in the past I've had the maintenance calories very, very high. But being able to live at maintenance or slightly above or slightly underneath, around there, give or take. But living at maintenance, essentially the amount of food you're able to eat, so long as you're hitting your protein, hitting quality food, and making sure that you're recovering well, sleep is good, and your training is good, you will see that you can build muscle slowly and at the same time get a little bit leaner as a result visually too, and lose body fat. Granted, in this situation, it will be slow, but you won't have to go through, you can stay lean and get stronger, build muscle. And it's one of those things where you can just kind of do slow and steady. And it's a great place to be able to live, especially when times in life are stressful, because all you have to do is essentially like the bare minimum to keep you growing. So it's, 2 to 3 total body workouts a week, and then eating at maintenance. You're not dieting. You're maybe more 80-20, you're not completely really strict at all on your nutrition, and you're just in a comfortable place. And it's almost like you can hopefully go into cruise control at maintenance and continuously see just solid incremental gains, maybe like slowly but surely getting a little bit leaner and leaner. And you can live there for a very, very long time and continue to see benefits. And so that is the third situation where it is possible to body recomp or build muscle and lose body fat at the same exact time. It's so for most of us, I think, or I'm not going to say for most of us, but everyone falls in these 3 categories, right? Or can, if they want to. If you have never worked out before, you can get newbie gains. You can build muscle and lose body fat, especially if you commit to a 3 to 6 month period and are very, very consistent. And it will happen a lot quicker than it will in any other time of your journey. If you've maybe gone through, an injury or you've lost muscle in the past, you can regain that quickly as well, and build muscle and lose body fat at the same time, so long as you dial in your nutrition, dial in your training. And then if you've already gone through the newbie gains, you already are dialed on your nutrition, already dialed on your training, and you want to just do the same, like have that beautiful exchange of losing body fat and building muscle, and you're okay with this is a lifestyle, you're in it for the long term. This is not a something that you do just for a short period of time and then quit, right? This is something that you really, really just continuously can do. Live at maintenance. You can live at maintenance for a long time and see amazing results. And then whenever you're willing or wanting to turn up the heat because you have the ability to with your schedule, or you just are really, really motivated and decide I'm going to, get really lean for beach season, or I'm going to get really, really strong, and see if I can get my metabolism even higher during the holidays. Usually what I like to do. And you can see, you can put yourself into a surplus. You can put yourself into a deficit, and you put yourself into a surplus, you're going to get way more muscle building than you would at maintenance. But you're probably going to not lose body fat or probably even gain some body fat. Whereas if you go into a deficit, you're not going to build muscle as quickly as you would at maintenance. Definitely not going to build muscle as quickly as you would in a surplus, but you're prioritizing fat loss. So you can lose body fat and get leaner in that situation, right? Being in a surplus, you can only stay in a surplus for a certain amount of time, and then it becomes, your metabolism will adapt to it and it stops becoming a surplus, or you'll gain a lot of body fat. Or when it comes to a deficit, you can only stay in a deficit for a short period of time before your metabolism adapts to that. Definitely don't want that. And then you stop losing body fat. So living at maintenance almost has no time period that you can stay there for as long as you want, which is the cool thing. So if you're not if you decide I'm gonna do a 4-week cut, or like we just did this 2-week mini cut last couple of weeks, and then you go right back into maintenance, there's tons of benefit to that. And you can just cruise there, be patient, and live there, and appreciate the small wins, the small changes in your body over time, and you'll just get leaner and stronger at the same time. If anyone has questions on this topic, I got 3 people viewing. Let's see, we got Eric says, this happened to me. I dropped from 150 to 135 during the lockdown period from not strength training. Bounced back up to 150 with less body fat and only 3 months. Yeah, 3 months, 20 pounds of muscle gain in 3 months is insane. If you were to, post that on Instagram, you'd have a lot of people saying that's impossible, right? But it is possible in your situation because you had the factor of muscle memory working in your favor, which is amazing. And that's something that I took advantage of personally when I was wrestling. Every year I would cut weight for wrestling season, and then I would put on tons of muscle in the back end of wrestling, because I was just eating more and putting myself back into maintenance in a good spot to build muscle. Eric says, that's my favorite way to train, although my ego hates it. Yeah. I don't go pedal to the metal every workout. Yeah. Living at maintenance is an amazing place to live and be. You have to be patient though. And if you are impatient, it can really mess with your mind. So that's where I come back to the idea of this is something that you do for the long term. This is something you do as a lifestyle, something you do ideally because you enjoy the process. You enjoy the idea of unlocking new checkpoints along your journey, such as lifting 5 pounds heavier, or getting a little bit more mobile, or seeing small little definition changes, or being able to eat more and weighing the same. Things like that along your journey, living at maintenance, are what you have to focus on and be appreciative of. And then at the very least, just being appreciative of your consistency, of the fact that you keep showing up every weekend, week out, doing the 2 to 3 weeks, or not 2 to 3 weeks, 2 to 3 days of strength training that your body needs to continue to progress and grow. But yeah, it is something that you have to check your ego at the door, which is something that I would recommend practicing all the time when you're at the gym. You're not always trying to go as heavy or pedal to the metal as you possibly can, because eventually you will burn out on that. And if you don't burn on it mentally, you can burn out on it physically, causing just a little bit too much stress, not enough recovery on your body. Paul's here. Hey, Paul. Awesome. I got a call with you in like 15 minutes. Pam is here. Thank you, Pam, for being here. Looks like I don't have any more questions on this. Quickly before I wrap up, so when it comes to like, how do you understand what your maintenance is? There's lots of calculators out there that can give you a general idea of what your maintenance is. However, none of them will actually tell you what your maintenance is, unless it's like almost dumb luck that you happen to actually have the same maintenance that the calculator would give you. It's very rare, but it gives you a good starting point and a good idea of where you possibly could be. And then how you find your maintenance is you log for 2 to 4 weeks very consistently, and you listen to your body. You eat intuitively as you do it, and you weigh in either daily, bi-weekly, or weekly to make sure or see that your body is staying the same weight and that the fluctuations are about the same. There will be fluctuations even if your body is staying the same weight. But if the fluctuations are within 1 or 2 pounds, or even if you have a lot more muscle, maybe the fluctuations could be within 4 to 5 pounds, 6 pounds in a day, if you're really dehydrated, right? And so you just have to think critically and be like, okay, cool, I'm eating a comfortable amount of food. I can see how many calories I'm eating on a daily basis, a weekly basis. Definitely do weekly, especially if you don't eat the same thing every day. And seeing that your weight weekly average is about the same for 2 to 4 weeks. If you do that, now you know your maintenance. So for me, if I'm eating 3,000 calories a day, give or take, and my weight is staying with about the same, give or take, I know that 3,000 calories is my maintenance, and I can just live there, and I can decide to inch it up a little bit or even inch it down a little bit to build a little bit more muscle or to lean out a little bit. But I'm not going to get a lot of either at that place. It's just going to be slow and steady progress. And the risk to reward ratio, you kind of minimize any risks of you're going to minimize most of the risks of overtraining in that situation. And the reward is just small incremental amounts of lean body mass, slightly less body fat percentage, slightly more muscle. Thank you for listening to the Mind, Body, Spirit podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to leave a 5-star rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever it is that you get your podcasts. And I really appreciate if you would share it with your friends, family members, people on social media, because this podcast only grows by you doing that, word of mouth. Appreciate that. And I hope you come back to enjoy future episodes.